Welcome to the First Lutheran Church podcast, produced by First Lutheran Church in Janesville, Wisconsin. We are a congregation of the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America who are seeking to embrace love's adventure together. In this podcast series, we explore some of the contours of that adventure through conversations with friends and members of the community who are on the journey with us. We're glad you've joined us.
Well, hello, friends and listeners. Today I'm here with Arwen Twitchett from the First Lutheran Office. Say hello, Arwen.
Hello, Renee. How are you?
This is not small talk, Arwen. What are you trying to do here? So let me see. We're just going to hop right in. If you don't know Arwen, you should, because she actually might be the smartest person I know, but she would never say that out loud.
I'm definitely not.
Well, you might be the smartest person I know. You don't know the dummies I run with, okay?
Okay, I'll give you that.
So tell us a little bit about what you do here at First Lutheran, please.
So I am the business administrator here at First Lutheran Church. So that means that I deal with a lot of the financial things. So I run payroll, and we count the offering, and I pay all the bills. And so anything to do with anything financial, plus like dealing with insurance issues, contracts, leases, all of that kind of stuff as well.
Arwen keeps me in line. She lets me know when I've gone off the bend, around the corner. I don't know if it's out of line. She has a beautiful way of letting me know. And I think part of that is your parenting style almost. Tell us about home.
Sure. So I have 4 kids at home.
Say it again.
4 kids. Yep. And they're all pretty close in age. They're about 2 years apart. Sort of. I mean, they're pretty close to 2 years apart. But right now we have a 9th grader, an 8th grader, a 6th grader, and a 4th grader.
What is and a zoo going on there too?
That's right. Oh, we have a lot of pets.
What is your most recent addition, please?
We recently got a bearded dragon.
What do they eat?
So actually, it's kind of interesting because when they're younger, so it's a pretty small one. He's probably about 9 inches total with his tail, but his whole body fits on your hand. So he's pretty small. And when they're little, they eat a lot of bugs. So my kids are feeding him crickets and worms and things that we buy at the store.
You don't just dig them up outside.
That's right. But and he does eat a few vegetables, but as he gets older, they eat less and less bugs and more vegetables. So it'll be about 90% vegetables and only 10% bugs. So that will make me happy.
What's his favorite veggie?
Well, okay, so they said that baby bearded dragons are kind of like children. They don't really like the vegetables yet. So we give him carrots and lettuce leaves, and he'll kind of pick at them a little bit. But right now he doesn't like vegetables.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess we all have some growing to do. So a mother of 4 children, what is the best part of parenting?
Oh, I think it's those little moments that you have, the little connections with them. They are so great when you're one-on-one with them. I would like to spend one-on-one time with them all the time, but then they get together and it becomes a zoo. But they tell you things and you laugh about things and all of that, because it's just wonderful.
Are you telling me when they're together, there's a mob mentality?
That's correct. And it's really hard to break it.
And I've seen you. You are a wonderful nurturer.
Oh, thank you.
You're a wonderful nurturer. And I know parenting now, I imagine, I'm not a parent, but I see a lot of parents, and I know it's always come with unique challenges and things like that. What do you see as the biggest challenge in parenting today?
Well, I think that they have a lot more input from the outside than like we used to when we were kids, because we would go to school and then we would come home. What was on TV was very scripted. You could only see so much on TV. You didn't have as much connection to your friends. Like, you would call them on the house phone and that would be it. And now they can contact their friends anytime. They can look at things on YouTube. So there's so much outside influence that makes it much more difficult to, give them a good education and good upbringing and try to instill those good values in them.
Yeah. So how are you and Barry mitigating that?
So we do try to limit it as much as possible. We are always have them around where we are when they're using like social media and stuff. So if we see something and on YouTube that they're watching and we don't like it, we say, turn that off or you're done on the TV.
Do you ever just want to switch that Wi-Fi off?
Yes, and we do that sometimes too.
Oh, okay. I'm curious now. What would warrant the powering down the Wi-Fi? What is happening at this point?
That's usually if they are completely refusing to do any chores or any help around the house. Then the Wi-Fi gets turned off until the house is clean, and then it goes back on again.
I'd like to borrow your children, please. Does it work?
It does. They're all different, so they all have different incentives. That's just the final one that we'll go to, but usually it doesn't come to that very often.
Okay, well, good. So, okay, a faith-based question here is, as a parent, how are you instilling faith in your children? Because it seems like there's a trick to that. You know, I don't know. I don't have kids. You tell me. They come to me raised.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we have always done a lot with my parents. My parents were always very strong in their faith. And so we've always done some like different kinds of things at home where we do like a Christian Passover. And
oh, yeah. You guys are weirdos.
We are weirdos. And like when I was growing up, our blessing for our food was, sorry, I'm completely blanking here now.
This is so nervousing. I use the word nervousing, see?
I'm trying to think of the language. It's in Hebrew. So we do a Hebrew blessing for like every single time we had dinner. So what my kids have learned that as well. So then sometimes if they hear that language, they're like, oh, we know that. That's like Jesus's language. So there's things like that. So we try to make things quite special. We do a lot of, prayers and things like that. We just talk to them about what's going on and things that like happen in their lives and how that relates to faith and things like that as well.
There are organic times to talk about faith,
That's right.
And I if you're using them, give us your tips. Yeah. Thank you, Arwen. Now, you come to us from not an accounting background, although
right.
You are a wonderful accountant. Tell us about your educational past here.
Sure. So, okay, well, I did actually grow up in Milton. So I went all the way through high school in Milton. But then when I was still 17, my dad got a job over in the UK. So I moved over there. And then I had to wait a few years to go to university. So I was classified as a home fee student. So I took some basically like their university courses, but they're correspondence courses. So I wouldn't necessarily have a teacher that I would see, but I would talk to them on the phone, things like that. And so then I started doing a lot of physics courses that way because I do like to challenge myself. So I did the courses that I took were calculus and physics doing that way.
Over the phone?
Yeah. Well, because I had graduated 6 months early from high school, so I couldn't take those classes.
Oh.
Otherwise I would have. So I didn't finish those ones. So that's why I decided to do that. And then when I did my actual degree, I did it in environmental science. And then after I finished that, then I went off and did a PhD in atmospheric science.
Okay, I'm interested to hear more about that stuff because in our larger congregation, we are having seasons of creation. Mm-hmm. And so do you want to scare me about the environment today or what? I don't even know what to ask because you're smart and you got a big brain and
Sure.
It's hard to know what to ask.
Well, okay. So what I didn't do anything too scary like during my PhD. We kind of focus on very, very, specific topics. So that's why with science, it's very interesting because you only learn one very, very small portion of this whole entire complex world. So I was looking at specifically the it was predictability and dynamics of potential vorticity streamers and connections to high impact weather. So that's
that sounds fun.
That was a really long title. So basically I was looking at, so you have the troposphere, which is the bottom level of our atmosphere where all of the weather happens. And then above that, you have the stratosphere. And the stratosphere is much more stable air. And then what happens is you have some stratospheric air that can come down into the troposphere because obviously there's a lot of mixing going on there. And when that happens and certain pieces kind of spin off, it can trigger cyclones, anticyclones. So it triggers the weather that we have down here. So that's what I was looking at, but none of that was terribly scary. But in my department, we had a lot of people who were looking at, different things to do with the climate. I think one of the more interesting ones was looking at agriculture and how plants, will be affected by climate change over time. So as I said, it's like you just learn about one very small bit, and then you need all of these other scientists that are also working on their little small bits, like a puzzle. So we all have just one little piece that we put together.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, I'll tell our listeners today too. If you want to hear about your facts and figures that go into going as part of a church, you talk to Arwen. If you all want to see Arwen light up while you're asking facts and figures, ask her about the environment.
That's
because,
right.
Here's a deeper question too. What is the role of a Christian in maintaining our environment or protecting our environment?
Sure, right. Well, and that's the really interesting thing, is that we're all on this planet together. And I know we all like to be kind of separated out, and this is my house and this is my area, but we all breathe the same air. We're all here together, and we're all working together to try to keep the planet in a good state. So we don't want our kids or our grandkids to not have clean water and to not have clean air. So as a Christian, it's one of those things where you should really be thinking about, like, what can I do to contribute to not just myself and not just my family, but our town, our society, our whole country, and then the whole globe. We should be taking care of people here just as much as we're taking care of people far, far away from us. And everything that we do, all the decisions that we make, really impact absolutely everybody.
Okay, so you said that we need to. I don't know what you said. No, you said
I'm not going to repeat it, though.
No, that's good. No, I do. But the question is this: what can I do as a Christian? What are steps that I can take that are truly impactful? Because it seems like, I recycle, I ride my bike. Am I making a difference? It's good for my soul.
Sure.
And it reminds me how valuable our environment is and that I enjoy it. But is it making a difference? What can I do?
That's right. So, and that's one of the things. If everybody worked on this, then it makes a difference. And even if you're just doing a tiny little bit, like buying things that are more local, buying from local farmers so that we're not transporting food all over the place. You have to think about the sort of the cost of what it is that you're buying. Where is it coming from? How far away is it traveling? All of those things make more pollution if it's coming from further away. So there's a lot of just little things that you can do. Yes, recycling, riding your bike more, turn down your thermostat a little bit. And so in the summertime, you can have it a little warmer, and in the wintertime, a little bit cooler.
Eric Ingen, did you hear that? We're going frigid at 10:39.
And that's right. Turn it down at nighttime. If you're bundled up with blankets, hey, you don't need that heating on so much. You should come to my house. My kids do not enjoy the way that I control the thermostat.
Do they touch it?
No, they don't.
We touched it on Threat of Death growing up. We really, really did. Okay, what can I do? All right, so some of these local things. Is there something we should be doing as a congregation?
Sure.
Or could be considering or wondering about?
Mm-hmm. I know it's one of those things that it is more difficult as sort of a congregation, but it's kinds of the things that we could do are, using more solar energy, obviously. Also, even just controlling our thermostat here in the building. I mean, as much as we can. We don't need to heat and cool the spaces when there's people not here, things like that. And I know that Jude does a good job of trying to keep an eye on that as well.
Shout out to Jude.
Woo! So, there's different things that we can look at for that. But if you're talking about sort of for our society, it's also just making this information known to other people that, hey, we need to think about this when you're doing those purchases, or when you're driving your car. Are there more people that you can fit in your car when you're going somewhere? Carpooling, that was always a thing that they talked about even when I was a kid. So, there's a lot of little things that we can do, but it's also thinking about our neighbors. What, as things may progress over the next few years and certain weather situations may become more and more difficult for the town or the city or even the state, then you start to think about, well, could our church help with some of those relief efforts, like when there were tornadoes and things? Did we send people out to go and help clean up? Did we invite people here for a meal? It's things like that where we can really show that we're here to help others as well.
The Sunday school is talking about compassion and shining bright the light of Jesus. And if we're made in God's image and God is light, we are also light. And so those are some real tangible ways we can shine the light as, like you said, if weather progresses or the climate progresses, we're going to have a role to play.
That's right.
Thanks for scaring me today.
Sure, no problem.
But showing us opportunity. Yeah, way to spin it as opportunity. I just, I hope you come and talk to Arwen. Arwen, are you an introvert?
Yes, 100%.
Okay, so don't bring a group to talk to Arwen. Come individually.
I'm fine one-on-one, and I'm actually pretty good like in front of a large group. It's like the intermediate interactions are much more difficult.
What does that mean?
So like if you're just talking to one person, it's not too hard to, like come up with things to say. But if there's more people there, I do sit back and I just listen more. I do a lot of listening.
Like 6 people?
Yeah,
6 people is your personal
right.
nightmare? Okay, if you come talk to Arwen, bring 2 or less people.
That's right.
So, yeah, okay. Parting shots, because I know you need to get back to work.
I do.
I'm taking part of Arwen's day here, and I thank you very much for your time. And I think the parting shot would be this. Oh boy, I don't have a great question. What would you like our congregation to remember? And our listeners.
What, from me or from just
in
general?
You can answer that question however you want.
What would I like them to remember? Gee, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's hard as a parent to sometimes feel like you're fitting in and doing everything right in the church, like even at home and here, it's a struggle every single day.
All right.
We are out there and we're just trying our best.
Are you telling us to be patient with our beautiful
That's
parents?
right.
Is that?
Yes.
Or are you just telling us you're a disaster that's struggling? I mean, what are we saying?
I mean, yeah, that's the thing. We're kind of, I think parents with kids my age who are sort of middle school, beginning of high school, even through high school, it's a lot of complicated stuff going on at home and trying to get kids different places. And so, yeah, I don't always respond super quickly sometimes, especially if people try to contact me outside of work. It's a jungle out there.
I think you just said, give me some grace and give me some space. I'm going to ask you one more question because you brought up an important point about parenting. And how can our congregations and our communities support our parents? I've seen you guys. You are tired people.
I know. It is tough. I've often said I need a couple of possibly semi-retired people to help me transport my kids all over and spend some more quality time with them because I'm stretched quite thin. But I don't know how you would do that. But yeah, I have my parents, but they live a couple hours away. Barry's parents are obviously across the ocean, so that's a little harder. But even without grandparents, they need that society around them. They need more encouragement from adults that are not just parents.
Oh, all right. Well, now that sounds like something people can do. Let's think about that, First Lutheran and friends. How can we come around and support our parents? Because they need us. And right. We need them at their best because they've got work to do. So, Arwen, I want to thank you so much for talking to me today. And thank you to our listeners. Thank you, First Lutheran friends and congregation. Everybody go out and have a good one.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. First Lutheran Church is learning to become genuinely inclusive, thoroughly engaged, externally focused, and relationally centered as we seek to live intentionally like Christ in the world. Embrace the adventure with us. You can find out more about us on our website at flcj.org. We welcome your questions and comments, which can be shared through our contact page. We're also active on Facebook and Instagram.